Welcome to the greenhouse here at Temple University Ambler. My name is Ben Snyder, and I'm the manager of the Greenhouse Education Research Complex here at the university. Today, since Arbor Day is coming up, we thought we'd be looking at some woody trees and shrubs that we have growing in our greenhouse collection, specifically species that produce fruit. So trees have many benefits, as many of you are likely aware of. They provide oxygen, they capture CO2, they can provide shade during the summer and reduce cooling costs. And on top of that, many of them will also produce edible fruit that we can enjoy. So being in our greenhouse, we're going to be looking at some tropical fruit today, and some that you can actually grow inside your house and start for free from seeds from the grocery store. So we'll just go through some of the different species we have in our collection. The first one I'll come to is a mango tree, Mangifera indica. So you can see it has these really nice, long, lanceolate, evergreen leaves. And this was grown from a seed from the grocery store. So this is something that is fun to do if you're looking for a unique houseplant, want to experiment with something. Growing fruits from seeds from the grocery store is an easy and cheap way to experiment with some new plants. So this tree is about 3 years old. When you grow fruits from the grocery store, you need to think about whether or not it will actually fruit indoors or not. Mango trees very rarely will fruit indoors. They just don't reach the size that they need to be able to fruit. In nature, these can get 50 to 60 feet tall or more, which obviously won't happen indoors. But even without fruit, they're still very attractive foliage plants, and the leaves are aromatic as well. So if you tear a leaf off, it'll have a scent reminiscent of a mango fruit itself. So some of the other trees that we have in here, we have lots of different types of citrus. So you can see some of these. We have key limes, calamandan oranges, lemons, things like that. These are other fruits that are very easily grown from seeds from the grocery store. The downside to citrus is many times they are hybrid fruits, and when you grow seeds from hybrids, they're not, most of the time, not going to come true from seed. So essentially what that means is the plant that you get from that seed will not produce a fruit like the one you got the seed from. Sometimes it may be better, many times it will be not as good, either smaller size, more bitter, more seeds. But it's still fun to experiment, and then just like the mango, they produce these very attractive foliage plants. They're just fun to have, a nice conversation piece. So, more citrus, lots of different types of those. Back here are some of our more unusual fruits. So this plant here is a lychee nut. So this has very nice, finely compound leaves. Again, all these are evergreen, they're tropical species. So another nice foliage plant. We have longanberries, and then one of my favorites that we grew from a seed is the tamarind. So that's this plant here with these very fine fern-like leaves and really attractive bark as well. So this plant is about 4 years old. You can see it has some nice height to it. But yeah, so it has these very fine fern-like leaves, very similar to a honey locust. So if you're familiar with street trees or native trees in Pennsylvania, there's the Gladicia triacanthus, honey locust, and these are actually in the same family. Both of these plants are in the Fabaceae or legume family or bean family. So these leaves will actually close up at night. So that's something fun to watch when it gets dark or at night. The leaves will fold inwards on themselves, then reopen when the sun comes back out. Also being in this family, these trees are nitrogen fixing, which essentially means they take atmospheric nitrogen and it can convert it into a form that the plant can use. So more or less, they make their own fertilizer. So another cool species to experiment with. And then moving on, we have some more citrus, lots of different kinds of citrus. This tree back here with more compound leaves, this is a star fruit. So star fruits produces very attractive, very strange looking star-shaped fruits. They're bright yellow, have a very floral scent to them. And if you are very careful when you cut them open, you can typically find at least 2 or 3 seeds per fruit. These plants are in the oxalis family, so these are related to clovers, the common lawnweed. They're in the same family. And you can actually eat the leaves of these plants, and they have the same oxalic acid as wood sorrel or other oxalis plants. But obviously, these are primarily grown for their fruits. When these do fruit, they're very unusual in that the fruits will be produced right on the stem or trunk of the plant. Now, this term is called cauliflory. So if you're familiar and have seen redbuds out in the landscape, Cirsus canadensis, you'll see the flowers are attached directly to the stem or the trunk of the plant. So the same thing will happen with the starfruit. The flowers will appear directly on the stem or trunk of the plant, and then the fruits will form there. There's actually quite a few tropical fruit trees that produce fruit this way. Chocolate would be another example. The cacao tree produces its fruits directly on the stem of the main plant. And the last plant that we'll look at in our collection is the guava plant. So that's this plant right here. So there's many different kinds of guavas. There's strawberry guavas, pineapple guava, Thai guava. But they all produce these very shiny, lustrous, dark green leaves. Very similar to citrus, but they're not thorny. So if you're looking for a nice foliage houseplant to keep in your house, this is a nice option as opposed to citrus, like this one right here that has very long thorns on it. So not the most friendly plant to keep around. But the guava has similar leaves and lacks the thorns. So as I mentioned as we went through, a lot of these were grown from seed from the produce section. So feel free to experiment and try some new plants. The basic rules are about the same as starting any other seed. When you harvest your seed, you want to make sure that you get most of the fruit or the flesh off of the seed so that it does not rot as it's germinating. After that, these are tropical species, so you want to keep them warm and moist. And they'll usually start germinating within 2 to 3 weeks. Then after that, just treat it like any other normal houseplant. Give it fairly bright light. And then hopefully in a few years, you'll have a nice attractive foliage plant and maybe some fruit as well.